Welcome back to the In the Deep End podcast. I am Cosmic.
I'm Shanda.
And today we've been putting this off for a little while to get all the information that has come out about the situation. But we're going to be talking about the Shannon Sharpe issue that's going on right now. Being a fan of Shannon as much as you were, how do you feel about everything that's happened?
Well, I was really reluctant to, form an opinion or broadcast my opinion about this without getting more information. And it's something that I just didn't want to do because I was such a Shannon Sharpe fan. And all I can say is, Shannon, I am so disappointed. And I was definitely one of your biggest fans. I'm not a sports person, but I would tune in every single day to Undisputed because I liked you and I liked your voice and how it related to things that happened not only just in the sports world but in society at large. You always had a really an opinion that I appreciated, and I know and I've heard over the last few days that little clips from your Club Shay Shay interviews and your nightcap with Ocho Cinco, and you were saying things like older women such as myself, I'm only 2 years younger than you, I'm 54, are shaming older men for dating younger women. And you stated that you believed it was out of jealousy. And it's not that at all, Shannon. It's, for me in particular, when I see a black man such as yourself doing so well, smart, dedicated to his craft, smart in business expansion, creative. I wanted the absolute best for you, and I was rooting for you. And
we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
And it's not jealousy at all, Shannon. It's disappointment. And it seems that with the recent information that has come out, that you are definitely morally compromised, teetering on bankrupt.
Well, let's take it from the top. What were your initial feelings when the allegation first came out?
I was very angry at the girl. Mm-hmm. My first thought was, that lying bitch.
Right.
That was my first thought. And I was thinking, I'm going to get go and get the court documents because I know she's lying. I know she's lying, because Shannon said one time at either, I'm not sure if it was Club Shay Shay interview or Nightcap, but he said that he is so careful in how he moves because of situations like this. He doesn't even get into elevators alone with women. Right. So it seemed, based on his awareness, that he wouldn't get caught up in something like this.
My initial response or thought process. Now, I've never been a huge Shannon Sharpe fan. My mom and my grandma always loved Shannon, right? And loved what he had going on for himself. And, but just in the whole Me Too movement that's going on, in my head, I was thinking, he's doing pretty good right now. He's about to get this $100 million deal. I'm definitely thinking that this is some money grab, if you will. This is the first couple of hours of hearing it. And I didn't really have too much, I was ready to defend you, and then we find out she's 19. Mm-hmm. Like the next day. And that just changes the entire, it changes the entire atmosphere of what was going on, everything that she's accusing you of doing. it was almost like that you have no wiggle room at that point. She says you sexually assaulted her, essayed her. She said that you were manipulative. What else? Just those two
That he
things?
sodomized her
Okay.
without her consent.
Okay. And you're 54 at the time of meeting this girl, and she's 19. You're not going to beat the manipulation, although it's not a charge, but in the court of public opinion, you're not going to beat that. In fact, when I heard that she was 19, that was my first thought. She's telling the truth. Because why would you, someone 54, go and get involved with someone who's 19? That doesn't make sense. It makes sense on a maybe, you're in a full-blown relationship with this girl. It's not like, it was some one-night stand ordeal. And even then, it's not good. But you're in this full-blown, you cultivate a full-blown 50 Shades of Grey BDSM type of relationship. It's kind of like, dude, what? And it didn't really even register for me then. Like, I knew when I heard 19, I was all like, I felt like completely void, if that makes sense. I was just kind of like, damn, like you're going. I was like, you're going down.
I felt sick to my stomach.
It wasn't until, I didn't feel sick to my stomach. I just felt void. It wasn't until we were like, what is the age gap exactly? Like, let's put the calculator to it. Shannon, that's a 35-year age gap. That is crazy. That's crazy.
It is indeed.
He was a full-blown adult when she was born.
Absolutely. He could be her grandfather.
And I was like...
Just about.
I was like, for me, it's like it should be a 10-year thing. If you're going to do the whole age play thing. But then I was like, even if she was like 27... 25, 27, crazy. But 19, Shannon, that's crazy, dude.
She's fresh out of high school.
Fresh out of high school, pretty much. And he's an old man at that point.
Old man. Yeah, it's just really disappointing. Now, okay, can I understand it from now I'm not a man, okay, as you guys can see, but... Is it a sexual thing, right? It's young and fresh and unrun through, maybe, because she is on OnlyFans, so who knows? Right. But this is the thought process, I would imagine. And it's almost like when you're young, you got young girls, right? So there's a time for that.
Exactly.
That time has passed. And exactly. You know what? One thing he said too on Nightcap was, I don't date my age, I date my wage. Okay, so that leads me to believe that he thinks that some white girl is worth millions of dollars, right? That's basically what he's saying. That
doesn't even make sense to me, because for someone to say, I don't date my age, I date my wage, that means that means that this person is equal to you in the amount of resources that they have and that they generate. But I don't think that's what he's saying. I don't think that's what he's saying. I'm saying for me as someone, if I heard somebody say that, it just makes Shannon look stupid, because what does that mean? Because that girl's 19. What?
I can tell you what I was saying earlier, that I think that what he's saying is, to him, his wage and where he is on the scale of earnings is equal to this 19-year-old girl. Now, not what she's bringing in by way of finance, but what her youth is worth.
Yeah, and I understand your whole point and everything, but I was speaking on how I felt about the statement that he made. And all in all, it's messy and it's just not good at all. Then, next thing that comes out are the recordings and text messages between the two of them as they're having this so-called relationship, and it just sinks him further into the hole. I don't think Shannon's ever going to recover from this financially, socially, anything.
I don't believe he's ever going to recover, and I don't think he should. And that's really hurtful for me to say, because as a black woman with sons, it seems recently that all of the stuff that's coming out with, Shannon Sharpe, Diddy, not to mention R. Kelly, the whole Jay-Z thing, which of course those charges were dropped, but just the fact that every one of our successful black men are being attacked, or I shouldn't really say attacked, but being charged with SA charges. And it seems to society that black men are consistently posed as these sexual deviants, morally bankrupt people, immature, and like lacking basic principles. People say, oh, she's legal, he didn't do anything wrong. Okay, right, she is legal as far as she's 18 and above. However, we all have daughters. That's and this is where the breakdown comes in. Yes, she's legal, but all of these people who were offering endorsements and all this stuff, they have daughters, Shannon. How do you think that they're thinking? You're black ass 56 years old and you are hunching on this little girl. They see this little girl and they see their daughters.
Not just hunching, but you're talking to her crazy,
threatening to choke her out, essaying her, sodomizing her. These men and white women and every other race of people are just sick. They're sick about it, and it doesn't make you look good by any means, whether she was legal or not.
I'm going, for me, the most disappointing element to this being Shannon is how he painted us a picture of how he's this respectful, raised by my grandparents. I owe my grandparents so much.
Old country boy.
Mm-hmm. And that's like such a slap in the face to his grandparents. I don't think he realized entirely. I think we all run into certain situations where sometimes we fall short of what we present ourselves to be. But damn, Shannon. Damn.
And then another thing.
Far.
Yeah, another thing too is that because he's so successful and doing some old country boy from rural Georgia, okay, nobody ever would have thought he'd be where he is. He's the hope and dream of the slave. He's in
of the what?
The hope and the dream of the slave. They could have never have thought that we could be where we are today, especially people such as Shannon Sharpe, Diddy, and all these other people. And you know what? It's not just about you. It's not just about you. When you make it to these heights, it's not just about you. We're all behind you, and we're all rooting for you. And I know that sucks because you don't sign up to be the face of the race, but it just works out that way.
It was very disappointing for me. And I think to speak to the whole he's legal, or she's legal thing, it's almost like I get that. And as I'm in processing of everything, I was like, technically, Shannon, you did nothing wrong as far as, because I don't believe he sexually assaulted this girl. I think that she's very intelligent, and she played a damn good game to bleed him dry of his money. Especially when you see the suggestive, if you will, explicit text messages that she was sending him. So so in the eyes of the law, Shannon, you did nothing wrong. But in the court of public opinion and morality, dude, there's no argument to be made for you. I know there's a lot of men that are behind him, considering that men like to think some
men.
I've seen quite a few that are
I've seen quite a few that are against.
They call themselves logical people, and logically, if we're looking at the black and white of things, he did no wrong. Is he perving into some kinky stuff? Sure, but technically he did nothing wrong. But as you said, people have daughters, and you have daughters. This is the part that's disturbing for me, and any guy who I know gets with somebody's else's daughter that's in respective age range to theirs. It's kind of like, that's weird. That's weird. So were you looking at your daughter's friends whenever she was bringing them around? Like, it's just weird. It's weird, and it doesn't paint a pretty picture in the minds of the public.
It brings a lot of things into question.
Yeah, sure. And not to say that any of those thoughts are true, but it makes people's mind go down a rabbit hole that also is why he'll never recover.
I hope that he is still able to maintain Club Shay Shay and Nightcap. I hope he doesn't lose everything, but he definitely needs to get spanked a little bit, because this is outrageous. This is outrageous, and it's embarrassing. And the part that I disliked the most, I think, is when he, one of the things I disliked the most was him getting on and doing that video and saying, Tony Busby. He's like blaming Tony Busby. And that is crazy to me, because if you weren't doing something that was questionable, Tony Busby wouldn't have a leg to stand on. You can't blame him for doing his job and for going after these guys that seem to have a pattern of sexual deviancy. That's his job. It's your job to remain clean and don't give them anything to chase after you about.
And that's another thing that bothers me about Shannon. I'm a big believer in, once you're caught, you're just caught. Or, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. And you should just take accountability for that. Him coming out and saying, oh, it's a money grab. Tony Busby's attacking black men. All of that shit makes me sick, because you are staining the black community yet and still, because you are showing how unaware you are of the predicament that you were in. Just come out and say, what, this wasn't a good decision that I made.
People would feel so much better.
I would feel so much better if he just came out and said, guys, the what I'm being accused of is not true, but I can admit that this situation I've put myself in, it's my fault, and I didn't make a good decision. Please forgive me. I might even feel a lot differently about some of the things, but the fact that you're trying to pull the Caucasian move and deflecting responsibility, I don't appreciate that at all, and that's not respectable by any means.
I completely agree with that. Do I think it's a money grab? Yeah, I do.
And I do as well.
I think it was a money grab from the very beginning.
Exactly.
Because your dumb ass went and started this relationship with this girl. Please don't think that she was planning this from the jump.
Exactly.
Why are all the phone calls recorded, Shannon?
Exactly.
And if you hadn't been in the situation, it never would have been able to happen. You are 100% to blame about what's happening to you right now.
And then it's like, dude, you know what you're into or whatever it is you're doing. You're in a position to have someone sign an NDA and they say they're not going to sign it.
Why didn't you walk away?
I don't understand that.
Why didn't you walk away? And then, like you were saying the other day, we all learned from
50 Shades of Grey. When you're into something crazy,
get a contract and you both sign it. We both agree that this is what we're doing.
And in the movie, the contract was like this thick. It's almost like, you know, if that's what you're into, you know, they taught you how to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, the test was open book and you still failed. I don't understand that. I don't get it.
I am all for adventure, okay? I'm all for it. Do whatever you're going to do. But you got to be smart. You got to be smarter. Even us regular folks have to be smart when going into situations like this. Look, I don't have no money, but I'm still going to be smart if I'm doing something that I know could potentially bite me in the ass down the road.
Right.
And the fact that you were just doing something footloose and fancy free is just unbelievable to me and so unsmart.
And it was also not smart to have any of this interaction going on.
By phone.
By phone. At all.
Or text.
You are, how tall is Shannon? Probably like 6'6".
6 something, yeah.
6 something. Ape looking. Blacker than an ace of spade. Ugh. You know the narrative that white people paint have about of blacks in general. Mm-hmm. You are the golden embodiment of all of those things
that they think.
And this is what you do? Come on, dude. It's just on so many levels it's irritating.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? My mother, God rest her soul, she loved Shannon Sharpe.
She did.
She loved Shannon Sharpe, and I can only imagine what she'd be saying after hearing all of this information. But you know, another thing is that listening to that phone call between her and him, it was like it's almost like it reminded me of talking to you guys. You know, when you guys were little or young teenagers asking you why you did something. Mm-hmm. It was just like, Shannon, this is what you find attractive?
And why don't you realize, like, it's taking her 20 minutes to say something? It's like, I would have been like, hello?
You're right.
Hello?
But that leads me to believe this is how they communicate all the time. Because he was like used to it.
Or it was that, and it's a set. I'm telling you, this girl, I believe Shannon got in this situation with somebody so young because he thought that he was going to be able to control and run them. Based on the things I've heard him say when it applies to women in general, and how he goes about dealing in relationships, he's a bit of a control freak, and he thought that he could run this girl, and she ran the ultimate game on your dumb ass, and you fell for it hook, line, and sinker at every turn, and you should be ashamed of yourself for that. You got played out by a 19-year-old
by a little girl. And you know what, Shannon? You've been all on TikTok. You've been all doing your nightcap like nothing has happened. And I don't know how I feel about that either. I know you're trying to, business as usual, but I don't like it. You should be sitting down somewhere, shame. With your head under the covers.
Yes.
That's what I think, because you just out there like, oh, hey, yeah, I got caught. I got terrible. terrible. If anything, just apologize. Apologize to your fans, if nothing else. Apologize to your grandmother, God rest her soul. Apologize. And then maybe you can come back into the fold. But right now, I don't think you're gonna. I don't think you're gonna recover, Shannon. And I'm not sure you should.
And right, and as you said, talking about maybe you can come back into the fold, I just don't think that it's possible. I'm a big believer in when somebody shows you who they are the first time, believe them. And it's definitely something you have to put into practice. But like I said, for you to come out and deflect blame and responsibility, that tells me a lot I need to know about you. And, I was never a huge supporter anyway, but I definitely wouldn't be a supporter now.
Well, too, I almost feel like Shannon really didn't understand the magnitude of what he was enthralled in. It's like, I don't care that the girl's white. Shannon Sharpe is a white girl lover. He just is.
Although you should know better in that too. But
he should know better and anticipate, but then that's where the NDA comes in and all of that stuff, which he refused to sign, and dummy Shannon continued the relationship. But just be smart. It's like, I know everybody's like, Dr. Umar called bunny hopping and all of this stuff. And you know what? You like what you like for whatever reason.
Like what you like.
Just be smart about it. Just be smart. I'm just disappointed.
I'd feel so differently if
I don't want to
27.
hear anything else. It's like, I don't want to hear anything else.
Except an apology.
This girl, Michelle, this new girl.
Oh, you're right.
This new girl that has come out saying that, she was essayed as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if others are not on the way. They're probably verifying stories as we speak.
Shannon, boy.
And that's why I don't think he's going to recover, because they are going to jump on the bandwagon and everybody's going to have their hand out. And I'm sure it seems like this is his thing. So I'm sure he's done it to other people, and we're just waiting for the several other shoes to drop.
I'm at a loss for words, really, at how he let this happen to him.
Yeah.
I was saying, as we were gathering information, if I were someone in Shannon's shoes, and I have everything going for you, you have fucked up your kids' future, your future, grandkids' future, everybody. That you said they'd never have to work if they didn't want to. The responsibility of all of that on my shoulders. It's like, if I was into something, you go get an escort. They literally, you pay them to do whatever, whatever. It's just all, I couldn't be me. With that much to lose, that's crazy. I'm careful and I don't really have a whole lot to lose now. So I couldn't imagine being in a situation like Shannon's and you're just kind of like carefree.
Well,
19.
The most hurtful part is what you just said. He has ruined his legacy. He has stymied his generational wealth that he so very often talks about. He said his grandkids would never have to work at this point. But okay, so half of that's going to these broads. So
not all of it, depending on who all steps forward.
And you even run the risk of going to jail.
I was just about to say, and you're on, and if they really want to get you, you're on your way to jail. And then it's like, damn, dude, was it worth it?
Was it worth it?
And another thing that kills me when it comes to this whole ordeal is Shannon got with this girl relatively 2 years ago, right? At this time, this is when in the vicinity of Diddy's whole situation going down. Anybody who is up to no good,
any sense at all,
as this stuff was going on, would have said, you know what, I need to fall back, chill. If you're up to no good,
let me clean up my backyard.
Exactly. Let me cut my grass, get everything right, lay low for a couple years because, the block is hot. It's kind of like in the mob movies when police are a little too involved. It's time to sit your ass down, make some spaghetti, chill. And as all of this stuff is happening with Diddy, he thinks it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm a be the next Puff Daddy, I guess was his idea. Crazy.
Yeah, next thing you know, God forbid, there might be some some men coming out talking about SA. Who's to say? That's what the streets are saying at this present moment. So he has just opened the door for all kind of accusation and charge. And just, that's what stupid gets you.
And I know he feels like a dumbass for posting Michelle on his Instagram because, Negro, you didn't accidentally click live on your phone. You're a goddamn lie.
Yeah.
You did it to avoid the gay allegation. I would have rather you came out gay.
Then do that.
Then do what you did.
And then do this,
too.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like...
Yeah, Shannon. So we're all just, most of us anyway, are just disappointed. Your lack of discernment is disappointing. Your lack of immaturity, disappointing. But such is life. People are just people. Everybody makes mistakes. Maybe the mistake is ours for holding people in such high regard.
And I'm in a lot of agreement with that. I don't care who a person is. I do not disregard that this is a human being, and you just never know because everybody has their shit.
Right.
You never know what somebody could or would or wouldn't do, could or couldn't do. You can be married to someone for years, and next thing you know, you lift up a rock and there's a house of horrors. So I never put anybody in a light. Like when all that stuff was going on about TD Jakes being at Diddy's parties, I was like, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, but you should never hold anybody in a certain light because you can never be sure. Now, when their final day comes on Earth and it seems like they've lived this pretty nice life and, the slate is relatively clean, that's when I think we should lift people up and hold people to a certain standard. But while they're living, everything's unknown.
Yeah, so we'll see as time progresses. We'll see what comes out, or hopefully nothing else comes out, but rest assured it probably will. But we'll be following this very closely. I'm sure we all will.
And that's all I have to say that I can think about right now because I'm a little just disappointed. And I'm not even your fan like that. I can't imagine how your actual fans feel.
Me.
So, damn, man. But anyway, guys, I don't even know if I want to hear what you guys think about the topic, to be honest. But let us know what you guys think about everything. Do you think that, Shannon's wrong in the court of public opinion? Do you think that... what do you think? Give us something
Do you
fresh.
think it's okay because she was 19, legal, technically? You guys let us know. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching. Bye.